This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stories. Kamala Harris holds a star-studded U.S. election rally. Chidobu's Minister Matawalle denies sponsoring bandits. Yahaya Bello goes back into hiding after Efcc clash. PZ Cussons leave to sell Nigerian subsidiaries. And CBN denies reintroducing cybersecurity levy. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The news at 12 begins outside the shores of Nigeria, where Democratic candidate Kamala Harris held a star-studded rally hosted by talk show legend Oprah Winfrey on Thursday in a bid to dazzle voters as rival Donald Trump Jewish Americans for not voting for him. Hollywood stars including Jennifer Julia Roberts, Chris Rock and Ben Stiller beamed remotely to lavish praise via screens on the U.S. Vice President. Kamala Harris has urged Americans to unite against the powerful forces that would try to divide the nation, represented by Republican former President Donald Trump. The Vice President also made a pitch to gun owners, a key part of the electorate in a country with more firearms than people, even as she called for an end to high-powered assault weapons used in a string of school shootings. The U.S. election is effectively neck and neck as Harris and Trump try to eke out every vote with 47 days left until polling day. Meanwhile, back home in Nigeria, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, has vehemently denied allegations made by Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal, accusing him of being involved in banditry within the state. In a statement released by Matawalle's media team, the minister refuted the claims, asserting that Governor Lawal has consistently attempted to tarnish his reputation by linking him to banditry. The escalating tensions between the minister and the governor have raised concerns over the state security situation, with both officials engaging in the war of words amidst ongoing efforts to combat banditry in the region. The statement highlighted that this is not the first time such accusations have surfaced, emphasizing Matawalle's ongoing denial of any involvement in criminal activities. Matawalle's media consultant pointed to a recent video featuring the wanted bandit kingpin Bello Turji, who made similar allegations against the minister. Turji linked the escalation of banditry in Zamfara and other states in the northwestern part of the country to the policies rolled out by the administration of Matawalle when he was governor. In a recent development, a fresh wave of drama erupted on Wednesday night between the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, following the agency's unsuccessful attempt to apprehend the wanted ex-governor. EFCC operatives laid siege to the Kogi State Government Lodge in Asokoro, Abuja, where Yahaya Bello was believed to be hiding. The raid was part of ongoing investigations into allegations of financial misconduct, including a staggering 80.2 billion naira fraud. Before the EFCC's operation, Yahaya Bello had publicly stated that he was ready to cooperate with the commission, claiming he had nothing to hide, and finally honored their invitation. According to sources familiar with the situation, Yahaya Bello has since returned to the Kogi State Government House in Lokoja, where he had been taking refuge before traveling to Abuja to allegedly honor the EFCC's invitation. Officials from the EFCC, who spoke anonymously due to restrictions on addressing the media, expressed frustration over the failed arrest, suggesting that the immunity of the sitting governor Usman Ododo is aiding Yahaya Bello's continued invasion. An official in the Kogi State Government House, while speaking to journalists, berated the EFCC for trying to arrest Yahaya Bello in a justifiable manner after he submitted himself to the anti-graft agency for cooperation. The official, while revealing how the former governor escaped again, said the strategy used when he first escaped was the same method used to evade fresh arrest by the anti-graft agency. In a recent development, PZ Cussons says it has commenced plans to sell its African subsidiaries to any interested buyer due to forex challenges. The company stated this in its preliminary results published on its website for the year ended May 31, 2024. According to the results, the parent company of PZ Cussons Nigeria said it is looking at a partial or full sale to mitigate the company's exposure to fluctuations in the naira, which has devalued by 70%. On the sales of subsidiaries, the company said it has received a number of expressions of interest for African businesses, which recognizes the potential of its brands and could lead to a partial or full sale. Earlier today, we had a telephone chat with Mr. Ogunnubi, a former management staff of PZ Cussons, who provided insight into the reasons for the company and other manufacturers' exit from Nigeria. Let's take a listen to him.
Please go ahead, sir. Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Okay. I think it's just a brief something to just give you, and the purchasing power of the people is low. So the purchasing power of the people makes people to now prioritize what they need. So if I'm producing maybe hand wash, for example, hand wash like morning fresh, like PZ is producing. People can do away with morning fresh. Now I can say there's no need for me to use morning fresh. So am I using morning fresh to wash my hand? Why do I use morning fresh to wash this? If I can buy that, can't I go back to our normal way of washing before? This is use some soap. So it makes. I think the people are reacting to some of these things. It's also even petrol. You see that a lot of people now use their legs now instead of buying fuel. So the purchasing power has even limited the market. That's number one. Then apart from that, the manufacturing companies, the cost of production is high. We calculate it. I work in a place now where we know that the our cost of production cannot make our price to go down. And since our price cannot go down, people are leaving the business. Then we have some small players. People like PZ have problems in some areas because you have some small players also in that industry. Like you are talking about PZ competing with a one man, like a PZ a detergent from PZ, competing with one Lebanese small company somewhere in the market. It's very difficult because of price. Those ones can manipulate their price. They know how to manipulate it because their overhead is not that much like PZ. But company like PZ, we find it difficult, especially with this to compete in the market. Especially when the business you are competing with are small players, are small boys. They are not multinationals like yours. Multinationals always look for what do you call it? Standard. They always have standard. They will tell you that they have standard in everything. They have a lot of things. They cannot even change. They cannot even change the standard of their products just like that, unless there is.
In the meantime, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has clarified that it has not reintroduced the previously suspended cybersecurity levy on electronic transfers following reports suggesting otherwise. You will recall that on May 6, 2024, the Apex Bank mandated all commercial, merchant, non-interest and payment service banks as well as mobile money operators to charge a 0.5% cybersecurity levy on electronic transfers. However, just 2 weeks later, on May 20, the CBN withdrew this directive, effectively suspending the proposed levy. Recent media reports claim that the CBN reinstated the levy. In response, the bank has issued a statement this morning emphasizing that the guidelines referenced were issued prior to December 31, 2023, and its position regarding the suspension of the cybersecurity levy has not changed. You're currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break and return with the news analysis segment. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll now head into the news analysis segment, and for this I have revered journalist, political, social and national affairs analyst, Mr. Chukwuma Okoro. Always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Chairman.
So we have a situation in the country. Of course, we have many situations in the country, but this particular one is something that keeps coming up time and time again, where the Minister of State for Defense has been accused of sponsoring terrorism by aiding bandits to carry out their nefarious activities. Now, this accusation was brought up again by the current governor of Zamfara State. The Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, was the immediate past governor of Zamfara State. That is to say, Governor Dauda Lawal took over from him, right? And these allegations have been going back and forth. Zamfara, Sokoto, and several other states in the northwest region have been experiencing these incessant attacks by bandits, where a lot of people cannot visit their farms and life is just not going as it is supposed to in that place. When we have this kind of allegations where the Minister of State for Defense, that is someone who sits on the panel that discusses how Nigeria's internal and external sovereignty, how our borders, how our security architecture should work in the country, is being accused of eating from the same plate with bandits. The people who live in those places that experience these bandit attacks, then what is the hope for them? While we're talking about this, there was a leaked memo that came out suggesting that Governor Dauda Lawal was paying or wanted to pay money to certain bandits. And he came out and said, this memo is not coming from me, that this memo was actually from the time when Matawalle was governor of Zamfara State. In all of this, one would think that the presidency would have waded into this by now. When we had political issues like the one between Wike and Fubara, we heard the president talking. There are other political issues that the presidency also wades into. But now you have a sitting minister of state for defense occupying a very, very, what we will call a sensitive position, being accused of something as grievous as this. Even if it is just the theatrics of saying this person should resign or step down or leave the seat while we investigate this, why aren't we having even that? Why is this being treated with levity?
Okay, Chama, thank you. I will proceed from the back to the front. In respect to the fact that you try to create an analogy between what is happening in River State and Zamfara State.
No, I'm just talking about the way the presidency wades into political issues. Yes, but this has to do with security and nobody's saying anything.
Exactly. This one is a clear security issue that borders on the lives and property of the people of Zamfara State. That border on the lives and property of people of Zamfara State. And this accusation between the sitting minister and the sitting governor, I mean, it's quite embarrassing. Chama, if you profile Zamfara State a little bit, you said that Dauda Lawal took over from Bello Matawalle.
Yes.
He defeated him. He beat him in the elections. Look at what happened. The people of Zamfara State clearly rejected Bello Matawalle. Why? Because in his period, in his tenure, insecurity first started in Zamfara State. Chama, if you recall, he almost spent a good part of his tenure in Abuja. He was almost driven out of the state by bandits. So the people rejected him. They said, we don't want you for a second term. Now they elected Dauda Lawal. In place of that, we had a president reward a minister who could not, reward a governor who could not secure his state against banditry, against insecurity, and rewarded him as Minister of State for Defense.
So what is the hope of the people who are actually experiencing this banditry? Is it ending anytime soon?
I'm telling you, the issue is not between Bello Matawalle and Dauda Lawal. It is between the people and the government. Look at what is going on in Zamfara State. Banditry, a Turji Bello in parts of Sokoto and Zamfara State, we have a bandit come to levy indigenes that because a certain army officer killed cows or whatever, and that he's levying them 50 million naira. Otherwise, he will keep terrorizing them. And we have a government begging the same bandit to please reduce the money, the fee, from 50 million to 30 million naira. And in all of this, we have a presidency, like you said, that has not waded into this matter. The president is mute. I don't even want the president to come in between what is happening, going on between Bello Matawalle and Dauda Lawal. I mean, for all I care, they can keep accusing one another. They can keep accusing each other, sorry. But I expect the president to say, look, okay, like he did say, the Minister of State for Defense, move over to Sokoto, move over to that region, and ensure that you deal with these bandits.
Even when they move to those regions, they are not moving into the middle of the places where these bandits are attacking.
They're in hotels in the city center.
Now, I want to read out something from the memo I talked about. Now, this memo was written to the Northwestern Governors / Unorganized Security Summit in Katsina. It's not dated, so what it just says is, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor, Government House, Kuzau, Sir. This refers to the Northwestern Governors / Unorganized Security Summit in Katsina, saying the above subject matter refers, it talks about how the level of insecurity in the state has now reached a dangerous cancer worm that has ravaged the fabrics of our social and psychological existence. In view of this urgent need and the directives by Your Excellency to provide funds to finance the state government reconciliation program with bandits in order to bring the menace to an end, I wish to submit the proposal as follows for Your Excellency's kind approval. A. Bandit kingpins. 1. Kachala Dogo Gide, 200 million naira. Kachala Bello Turji, the same one that came out to say Matawalle knows about us. He knows where we are. If he wants to talk to us, he knows where to come and meet us. 200 million naira. Ado Aleru, 200 million. Kachala Halilu Sububu, this was the one that the military just neutralized less than 48 hours ago. 150 million naira. Gwaska Dankarami, 150 million naira. We also have the B part of this refers to the media promoters who will promote the state government's efforts to have this reconciliation program with bandits. Look at the way that security issues are handled in the north versus in other regions of the country. Why are we reconciling with bandits? If you equip the army with you have 200 million naira 3 times, that's 600 million. You have 150 million twice, that's 900 million naira in all. If you equip the army with the military with 900 million naira, would they not wipe out these bandits and their proteges?
Choma, that is one track of the issue. The issue we have now at hand is that the current sitting governor has asked the Minister of State to throw in the towel, to resign, because he has been cooperating with bandits. You recall that a certain cleric, Islamic cleric, a fairy one for that matter, one Muhammad, whatever, came out like 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, to say that, look, when Bello Matawalle moved to Sokoto at the orders of the president and said, I'm placing a 20 million naira bounty on Turji Bello's head. And we had the cleric say, you cannot say that, minister, because you know his whereabouts. You are the one that provided logistics for him. You did this and this on so and so date for him. So it is a huge joke for you to come out and tell us that you are looking for this particular person, this particular terrorist. And now, the man keeps sitting in office and we have a president that says nothing about it. Choma, if you ask me, the best thing for Bello Matawalle to do is to recuse himself from that position. Subject himself to investigation, to the intelligence community, to security agencies. Let them investigate him and find out whether actually he has any connection, whether there's an nexus between him and the bandits. That is the only way we can begin to appreciate the fact that we have a government that is sincere in fighting insecurity. We can't have a government that pays lip service to the fight against insecurity. You are fighting them. Yet people in the same government, the government that you run, are accusing each other. No, you are part of this. You are part of the problem. Another one says, no, you are cooperating with bandits. And we have a presidency that doesn't say anything. A presidency that cannot say, minister, recuse yourself, step down, let us investigate you. What did the president do when Beta Edu got involved in scandal? He simply asked her, to step aside, let's investigate you. So I expect,
and that doesn't even mean that she has been prosecuted at this time. But at least when you allow this person to step aside, or when you tell them to step aside, or you tell them to step down from that position, or you sack them, it gives Nigerians that semblance of trust.
The impression that you want to do
you're doing something.
That you want to get to the root of the matter.
The problem, when many Nigerians come on social media, they talk about the fact that even when these government officials come and they say, oh, I feel your pain, they actually do not. Because if you have lost family members to banditry or to terrorism, you will be fighting tooth and nail to make sure that the people who perpetrate this wickedness, that they are found and that they are neutralized. But then I want you to hold your thoughts on that because of our time. Let's quickly move on to the issue of Yahaya Bello. This is one that makes many Nigerians right now, many critics and political analysts are saying it seems the EFCC is not actually serious with arresting or prosecuting Yahaya Bello. On Tuesday, I believe I woke up to the news that Yahaya Bello had finally decided to surrender or to honor the EFCC's invitation. And by the end of that day, his media team was saying, oh, he had actually honored that invitation and he was told to go. That was what his media team said. That, oh, Yahaya Bello did honor this invitation and he was told to leave. In fact, he was told to go home. And then he goes home. And last night, we see a situation whereby the EFCC goes to his location and then they try to arrest him forcefully. This is somebody that you placed on Interpol watch list in over 5 countries. Then he comes to your office. You did not arrest him. You allowed him to go. And you now went to storm his location with arms. The EFCC is claiming that it was because the governor was also in the location. The governor of Kogi State, Usman Ododo, was also in the location. That the governor's security details fired the first shot. The EFCC responded in kind, and then while they were busy firing shots at each other, Yahaya Bello slipped out, and now he's still wanted. Does this spell seriousness on the part of the EFCC? And that EFCC chairman that said, if he's not prosecuted, I will resign. With all of this development, is it not enough for him to actually come and say, oh, it seems I'm not capable, I should resign?
Well, Choma, such things don't happen here in Nigeria. But the whole issue of the controversy surrounding the EFCC and Yahaya Bello, it's infuriating, it's insulting to Nigerians, you know, especially given the fact that we have a sitting governor who is using his immunity to build a shield around a criminal, supposedly a crime suspect,
wanted,
who is evading justice. He is a fugitive running from justice, and we have a sitting governor using his immunity to shield him. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Forgetting that immunity expires after a certain time.
No. I'm not talking. Yahaya Bello doesn't have immunity. I'm talking about.
I know Governor Usman Ododo. For how long can he protect Yahaya Bello from the long arm of the law in this same country?
The fact too that the crime committed by Yahaya Bello is not statute barred, so he can only run for like 8 years. But he can't hide for 8 years. He can hide for and run for 8 years, but at the end of the 8 years, they'll pick him up. But talking about picking him up, I think it's also the part of unseriousness that we see in the EFCC. As we speak, the EFCC has not been able to apprehend Yahaya Bello, who showed up in their office, but they have gone to Edo State to arrest people they think that will engage in vote buying in the Edo election.
That is arresting in advance for a crime that's yet to be committed.
They are going to look for. They are not arresting. Let's be very clear on that. They have gone to. EFCC has deployed men, materials and manpower, you know, to Edo State. Do you know what they are going to do? They are going to scout for people who will engage in vote buying in Edo State. I brought in this angle to show you that the EFCC is not a serious organization. Nigerians don't take them serious. When the issue was raised in a panel of discussion this morning on the TV during a newspaper review, the panelists just dismissed EFCC and said, forget EFCC. That is what the EFCC means to Nigerians now. They don't take them serious. I mean, this is a man whom you declared wanted, appear in your office. You let him sleep.
After a very long time.
You let him sleep. Now, when he leaves, you go back armed in the night in a place you suspect that he's abiding. You go there to arrest him. And there's a shootout. There's a crossfire between your men and the governor's men. And in the process, the man slipped out again. And you still come out and tell us that, look, this man is on the one.
Don't you think that he would just be laughing at the anti-corruption agency in
He's
one corner?
not the one laughing. Nigerians are the ones laughing. Because the EFCC has simply made itself a laughing stock.
How do we trust in the EFCC in the ability to prosecute corruption cases when it's looking like a case of pick and choose? Because if this person is in your office, nothing stops you from at that moment holding him down.
Choma, there are many angles to the problems in EFCC. You have mentioned pick and choose now, which is selective justice. They go after a certain group of people and leave another people untouched. That is selective justice, and it has no place in law.
While we are talking about the issue of EFCC, I need to rush because of our time. Manufacturing companies are leaving Nigeria, and the latest is Cussons. They're saying, in fact, they want to sell their African subsidiaries, and any buyer that is interested should come and buy. They're having forex challenges, and they just cannot cope anymore. You listen to the person that we spoke to, that he talked about the challenges that the manufacturing industry is facing right now, and how there's been an influx of other Asian companies who are producing substandard products and selling it for a very low price. And one would tend to agree, because if you notice, many of the, I just want to talk about detergents right now, many of the very good detergents that we know are very expensive in the market right now and quite scarce. There is an influx of more detergents that you're wondering, where did this one come from? They have very strange names. When you put it in water, it doesn't foam. If it foams and you put two clothes, it will no longer foam. So we're having an influx of substandard products because people want to buy things at a cheap price, essentials that they need. Now, I took the time to compile the list of companies that have left Nigeria recently, at least in the past 1 year that Bola Tinubu has been president of the country. And I'm starting with GlaxoSmithKline, that's GSK. They announced that they were leaving in August. Now, some of their products, including Panadol, is still in the market as they use third-party distributors. But the problem is that a sachet of Panadol that used to be about 300 naira now retails for 1,200 naira. Then we also have P&G, that's Procter & Gamble. They shut down operations in December 2023. They cited the challenges of operating as a dollar-denominated organization in Nigeria, which is to say we don't have dollar to use to trade, to import the raw materials we use for manufacturing here in Nigeria. The products that they are also producing, the prices have increased in the market. In November 2023, Sanofi Aventis, which is a French pharmaceutical company, announced that it will now use third-party model to distribute its products in Nigeria as it was moving its manufacturing operations out of the country. I can continue naming names. There is Bolt, there is Binance on the issue they have with the federal government, and lately Cussons. So we're having an influx of substandard products. People are losing jobs. People are now having to buy things for more expensive. What would it actually take the federal government to make the economic climate friendly for investors? Because we can't keep shopping for investors when we are not maintaining the ones that we have.
Well, Chama, the man you spoke to that you played on radio was spot on. You know, he made economic sense, you know, to the extent that he put everything together. If you talk about brand loyalty, you also said something that relates to brand loyalty. But talking about brand loyalty, you also discovered like the influx of other operators in the fast-moving consumer goods sector. You talked about detergents. We used to have Omo, Clean,
don't name names. Yes.
Sorry, you used to have a
but
lot
at least
of
you know that there are good detergents.
No, well, the point I'm trying to make is this: there are other players in the industry now, and the point the man made was that some of these operators are very small and they're able to manage their costs, unlike a PZ that is a large conglomerate. You know that their overhead is very, very high, so you will naturally expect their production cost to be higher, except when it translates to economies of scales, where they have other products that complement and supplement each other to affect their bottom line, so they are still able to make profit. What it clearly means is that if they do that, he also made mention of the fact that the purchasing power of Nigerians is dwindling by the day because of the economic decline. So people are prone to patronize cheaper products, even when it doesn't serve them well.
That satisfaction.
So you see, the issue of brand loyalty comes in now, because brand loyalty means getting a particular product, even if the cost
you can
is
only
higher.
be loyal to a brand that you can afford their product.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying that it affects brand loyalty, and so naturally it affects the bottom line of big conglomerates like the ones that you listed that have exited Nigeria.
So what about companies that started in Nigeria, like Nigerian manufacturers who don't have anywhere to run to, and they just have to keep coping with the cost of fuel?
No, not just coping. Some of them are closing shops,
and we keep losing jobs.
And the unemployment is rising, it's increasing.
And then tomorrow the presidency will come out to tell us, I feel your pains. Do you really feel our pains if you have a pantry full of food and you don't know the price of 1 Dibika of Gari in the market?
Quite unfortunate. That is what it is. That's what we have become as a people.
While we're talking about this, I really shouldn't be bringing this up because of our time, but in 30 seconds, while we're talking about this, there were indications that the CBN wanted to reintroduce the controversial cybersecurity levy of 0.5% on every transaction. I recall, I think it was in 2020, every time you send 10,000 naira, you will be charged 50 naira. That one is going to the CBN. Now, for me, the receiver, if you send 10,000 naira to me, I will receive 9,950 naira. So the CBN is taking 50 naira from you, is also taking 50 naira from me. And one report claimed that they were eyeing about 50 billion naira revenue from this cybercrime levy. The CBN had come out to say that that is not the case. But what is this thing with always wanting to tax Nigerians on every side?
It's not about wanting to tax Nigerians. Nigerians are already being taxed. And I think, I don't know how this information about the cybercrime levy slipped out, because there are so many other levies that you don't even know about.
That you are paying.
So
by the time they remove it little by little, on over 1 million people.
You do a transaction, and the next thing you see is bang, 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 bang. They duplicate the fees. They duplicate the levies. And Nigerians, being who we are,
just overlook it.
we overlook it.
You
I
feel
mean,
like,
we
oh, it's
said,
just 25 naira.
You want to start complaining because of 100 naira. How much it will even cost you more to complain about it, 100 naira. But in other clients, you will see somebody pursue that 100 naira to the point that, look, a case is established that there's an infraction by that agency. So, but that is who we are. We paper over so many things. And I keep saying that as a society, whatever you condone, you cannot change it. So, beyond saying that wants to tax Nigerians are already being taxed to the point that we don't even know the taxes, the levies we are paying across board, across so many sectors.
We need to go. Some people always ask. We just come on radio and talk about these things. We'll keep highlighting these issues and put the government on their toes until they do what will make Nigerians happy, because frankly, Nigerians are not asking for too much. Well, that's it on the World News at 12. Just before we wrap up, here's a look again at the top stories. You heard that Kamala Harris has held a star-studded U.S. selection rally. Tinubu's Minister Matawalle denies sponsoring banditry. Yahaya Bello goes back into hiding after Efcc clash. PZ Cussons to sell Nigerian subsidiaries. And CBN denies reintroducing the cybersecurity levy. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Many thanks to you, Mr. Chukwumakoro, for joining me.
Thank you, Chioma.
Good afternoon, and thank you for listening.